do you have any questions for us? Because we had some preloaded questions. We've been at this for about an hour, but I'd like to keep going for a couple more minutes. So hit us with your questions if you don't have any.
Yes, please. If you have any questions, hit us up.
If you don't have any, hit us with your questions if we don't have any. That was a bizarre thing for me to say.
I usually stream for 3 hours, and by the end of it, it's like blah, 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 blah. Words.
Yeah.
All right. So we got from Ace. Yes.
Yeah, we have from Ace and Shifa and Cake both, and they're both kind of related.
They are.
So we've got, So what is the best way to find a D&D group?
Okay.
And as a new player, and what are the best campaigns for beginners?
Let's take the first one. Let's take Ace's first, because that's definitely that leads into the second one. Have someone that you can kind of bribe into being a DM.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of different ways.
Sorry, that is my jokey idea.
Most people get into a group either because they know somebody who's already in one and they've been invited, or they always wanted to play, and so they've got to be the DM because nobody else is doing it, and they invite people to come and play.
It's a very good way to become the forever DM.
Yeah, and it could set you up to be the forever DM, and that has its good points and its bad points. We're very lucky actually right now to have a group of like 7 players, 3 of whom take on regular DM duties, and that's like unheard of. It's taken me 30 years of being a player to get to this.
That is a unicorn to have 3 DMs in one set of people.
So we're very, very lucky, but there are ways. There's looking for type of groups on Reddit.
Yes.
And Discord and places where D&D players hang out. The worry with that is that finding the right group. Like if you hop into a game with a bunch of strangers, there is an even chance that you'll get a game that either doesn't work or a game that's very established and you feel like an outsider, or you run into, the kind of thing that gets talked about in D&D horror story videos and stuff like that. And that can be an issue. And if that happens to you, my advice is if you get into a game and you play a couple sessions and you're not enjoying it, or there's a weird vibe or something, say, thank you for your time, I'm going to try again, and go find another group.
Yes. So there is nothing that keeps you from continuing to play in a session, in a campaign that you're not comfortable with. And if you're not previously, like in, back, 10, 15, 20 years ago, if you managed to find a session, if you managed to find a game, people stuck with it because that was going to be the only game that you were going to be able to find in your area.
Yeah.
But now,
before the internet, it was college groups, and it was hanging out at the game store.
Yeah,
that was how you found groups.
That's not a thing anymore. If you are not comfortable with the game set that you find, like if you find it in in Reddit, a Roll20 also has a looking for group. If you're not comfortable with the game,
Roll20 has built in.
Leave, and you can find a different. You can probably pretty. I wouldn't say easily, but with a little bit of time, you should be able to find another group that it's more easier for you to mesh up with.
And the single biggest D&D community online is at a website called IanWorldorg. And that has been around forever. When he was alive, Gary Gygax used to be a member of that group. And they have a permanent looking for players sub chat, or not chat, it's message boards. It's all message boards because it dates back to the 90s. But
can you actually go back and look at looking for player stuff back in the 90s?
Well, no, they had a big old server crash.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
along the way. But and they do archive stuff, so they don't have like message boards dating back that old. Just the page.
That'd be cool though.
Is that old? It would be cool, and I would love to have the conversations I had with Gary Gygax saved somewhere, but I don't. Mostly, we argued about books that that he liked and I didn't, and vice versa. So that was a kind of a weird experience to be debating literature with Gary Gygax, but it was cool.
But yeah, like Reddit, Roll20, IanWorld. Just looking on Twitter, like there are hashtags on Twitter where you can, through D&D, looking for group.
Hashtag D&D, hashtag LFG, hashtag looking for
and it's going to be kind of hit and miss, but if you throw it out there, you're going to find someone. You're going to find a group. It's not easy. And, you might have to jump from a couple of groups to find one that you really mesh with. But those
don't take it personal if gaming with your friends doesn't work.
Yeah,
because the interactions with a gaming group and the interactions with your pals can overlap, but they're not the same.
It's not necessarily going to be. It may not be great. You might be great friends with someone, but they may not have a great mesh of
everybody has different play styles, everybody has different interests, everybody has different assumptions about what a game should be like. Some people just want to kill everything, some people just want to talk to everything, some people want to seduce the dragon, some people don't want any sex in their game. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that different groups have, and you have to find a group that fits your style. It's like being on Second Life or anything like that, where you have the entire spectrum of humanity. You've got to find the part that clicks with you.
I was going to say something else and then I forgot it.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It'll come back to me.
But let's look at this other part of the question, because like I said, they're related. The other way of finding a D&D group is creating it. Say, I'm going to run a game. Who wants to be a player? And if you go on Twitter or your favorite Telegram or Discord groups and go looking for players, you'll suddenly have a bunch of people come out of the woodwork. I've always wanted to play D&D, but I've never been able to find a group. And so that puts you in the position of having a wide variety of choices of potential players. Like Plotline went to the Twitter ponies and said, who wants to play D&D? And now he has a whole second group made up of
I think he has more people than he can. He had more people than he could take on.
He did. He had to turn away some people.
But at the same time, you have to be willing to be the DM in that case. So
and being the DM is more challenging than just showing up at a game every week. There's a lot more to it. It does have its commensurate rewards, and it's got, it's a different experience than being a player.
Yes.
But if you're a DM or you're starting to be a DM, you need a beginning campaign. And what are you going to do with that? And I always give people the same recommendation, and that is the D&D 5e starter set.
Yes. I haven't played it.
With Lost Mine of Phandelver.
I've never played it.
Yeah, I didn't run it for my current group because I had run it for some of the same players already.
Right.
So what I did is I took Keep on the Borderlands, which was the first edition version of the starter campaign.
I think it worked out
well. And I brought it forward.
I think that worked out well.
Yeah, well, I made a lot of changes to make it work for modern sensibilities. So,
yes.
I added things like names for NPCs and a storyline and things like that weren't in the original. But the D&D 5e starter set, it's a box set, and it's available online as a PDF and all that jazz. Comes with some pre-made characters, so that you have characters to hand out to players. And it comes with a beginning adventure, which is called The Lost Mine of Phandelver, which starts you at first level with a very simple job. You are caravan guards taking stuff to this little town on the Sword Coast of Faerun. And you come upon this ambush, and this ambush is the person you're supposed to take the stuff to has been kidnapped, and you have to go rescue them from goblins, and then it launches into this whole other adventure. And it's designed to take you from like first level to fifth level, and it walks the DM through it all, and it gives you 4 or 5 actually pre-made dungeons. They're smallish, but they're all designed to teach you elements of like, here's what a good map looks like, and here's what a dynamic situation looks like, and here's what a full-blown dungeon looks like, and you get it a piece at a time. So the first part, the very first encounter is just an encounter with you versus the goblins. The players versus the goblins, and the goblins have one special ability, which it makes them act like rogues, which is after they attack, they can hide, and they're in bushes. So what they do is they pop out, they shoot, and they pop back into the bushes and hide.
It's really annoying.
And for a group of first level players, 2 or 3 goblins doing that can wipe out the party, because they can hit you and you can't hit them. You can't find them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good way to still teach people how different mechanics work. Like you're learning how the mechanic of hide and search works, or investigate.
And you're learning how a bonus action works.
Yes.
And you're learning, how light and surprise and all these other things work. So then, assuming everybody survives that encounter, or most people survive, or somebody has to roll up a new character or whatever, the next one is you go to the Goblin Cave, and the Goblin Cave has
more goblins.
More goblins, yes. But it has, sneaking up on the goblins. It has factions within the Goblin Cave, so you can start figuring out, oh, you know what? There's somebody in this chamber who wants to overthrow the goblin leader. So if we throw in our lot with him, we can all team up and gank the goblin leader, and then all we have to do is gank the rest of the goblins. Hooray, backstabbing for fun and profit. Yeah.
And thus begins the murder hobo spree.
Yeah. And, the Goblin Cave has like these different branching places it can go, and it has the first trap you'll ever encounter. It's a very clever trap. It's cleverly designed because it is a pain in the butt, but is not inherently deadly. So you don't step on the pressure plate and everybody dies. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's an inconvenience trap. It's not a...
Wait, what? Does everyone die?
No. Let me think of an analog. It would be like the equivalent of you sneaking in and the trap goes off and you get booted out of the dungeon.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
But the alarm goes off, so now the goblins know you're trying to sneak in. And so now you have to do either an assault or figure out some way to bypass the goblins who've been alerted, etc. It makes the situation more complex. And then, like I say, it's just every next step builds on the previous.
It builds up.
It's very well designed.
Nice. I can't say that the Wizards of the Coast's campaigns that come after that are as well designed. So for me, I'm going to suggest some... there is a website called the DM's Guild. And on there, you're going to find a lot of campaigns. There's going to be a lot of pre-made campaigns that other people have made. They're not... There, you'll find some that are Wizards of the Coast created. But most of them are created by other DMs who, just say, I have this campaign. I have this thing that I want someone else to be able to play. Here, give me some money and you can play it. Or you can find ones that are for free. There's a lot of them on the DM's Guild that are free. They're questionable quality at some times, but most of those things...
it's fan-made content, so your quality will vary.
But most of the things that I started out with as a starting DM came from the DM's Guild. I wanted to play the Lost Minds of Phandelver, but they already played it. So
Sorry.
there was at least 3 or 4 people who already knew what all the secrets were. So I had
now Plotline has bought it and read it.
So I'm the only one who has not played it.
Yep.
So DM's Guild was a real lifesaver with that. I found several different things. Freebie, I think one was called the Burning Goblins.
The Burning Goblins, yeah.
The Burning Goblins.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the first one that I played. I think that
Yeah, that was a pretty good starter.
It was a good one. I liked it. And it is also a starting campaign that I believe is created for first-time DMs. I don't remember. It's been a while. But it gives you a city, and it gives you city. It's more like a village.
It was a village, yeah.
It was a village. It gives you a
village.
village.
A starter town.
It gives you all the instructions on how you can bring people together. It gives you starting encounters. It gives you questions. It gives you several. It gives you 2 dungeons, only 2, because I only think it takes you to level 3. But I found that one was a really fun one to get me into DMing, and also at the end of it, spoilers, there's a dragon. Spoilers, but there's a dragon. But it gives you like 2 ways to deal with the dragon. They took the 3rd way that didn't exist. So I had to.
That's what players do.
Yes.
And players will always.
Keep in mind that players will always find a way to screw over everything. Yeah. But yeah, DM's Guild. I found the city of Everkeep is based off of a setting book on the DM's Guild that I paid like $5 for. No Ace did not involve seducing the dragon. Not yet. No one has tried to seduce a dragon yet in our campaigns.
Shady hasn't met the right dragon.
Yeah, I guess not. We'll just give her a bronze dragon at some point. But yes, DM's Guild. There's plenty of things that are for free. My favorite one is actually, oh gosh, what was it called? It was something with a sheep.
Oh,
it was where a mage had turned themselves into a sheep. It was fun. And also you can also.
You're welcome, Sean.
You're very welcome. There's plenty of them that are for free. And other ones are a few bucks. Like you can probably get most campaigns, newbie campaigns, for $2 to $3. And just look for campaigns that are for like level 1s through 5.
I have one more, actually, a WotC suggestion.
Yes.
Which there's a book called Tales from the Yawning Portal, and what that is adventures from previous editions that have been brought forward. And the first one in there is called The Sunken Citadel. And that was the intro adventure for 3rd edition. And that's a very good starter dungeon. And that will probably take you through 2 or 3 levels.
That also reminds me of what I was going to say earlier, of something where how to get a campaign. There is, if you live near a city, there is this, I would say, group-ish thing created by Wizards of the Coast, or affiliated with, basically. It's called the Adventurers League. Adventurers League, where you can go if you have like a game store near you. They may be part of the Adventurers League, so you can look up. I don't remember what it is, but there's an entire website for the Adventurers League where you can look up and see if there are game stores near you that run Adventurers League campaigns, and it will probably cost. I'm pretty sure it costs you money. You may have to pay.
You might have to pay like a membership fee.
Yeah,
it's not much.
I think you have to pay the game store. The game store may have a cost per playing a night.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never played Adventurers League because I never lived in a place where there was an Adventurers League until recently. But now I don't feel like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Adventurers League is another. Before the internet, there was kind of
And now it exists again, and it's much more widespread. So if you struggle to find people online, or if you don't really want to do online games, because online games comes with its own difficulties. We've covered it in another video somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere. But yeah, it's a good way to get in person D&D, especially with things starting to come back.
Yep. Circling back real quick to you mentioning the other WotC campaigns. Most of the big WotC campaigns, like the Storm King's Thunder and all of that stuff. Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd is very popular. It's basically a remake of an earlier edition one called Ravenloft, which was huge when it came out. It was a complete game changer for the whole entire industry, but that's another story. But most of the big campaign in a books from WotC are built with the assumption that you can jump from Phandelver or Dragon of Spire Peak into their story. They have very cursory low level stuff in them, mostly, because they kind of feel like the starter set is where you're going to start, or if you've already done the low level stuff, you're probably going to want to skip over it. Like our most recent campaigns, we've started beginning our campaigns at level 3, because level 1 and level 2, after you've gotten used to it, level 1 and level 2, you just feel constrained all the time. You're too you're too squishy. You can't do anything, etc.
There's an opinion among longtime gamers where just play at level 3. Start at level 3.
Yeah. Once you're used to it, I recommend doing at least a couple of campaigns that start at level 1, just sort of to get the flow of it and understand how the math works and all that jazz. Once you're done with it, you'll be done with it. Like, playing a rogue at level 1 sucks. Anyway, I think we've talked that question out.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions or follow-ups you want from either of those?
Yeah, if you have any follow-ups, throw them at us. He says there's 2 stores near them that are part of the Adventurers League. Cool. Great.
Yeah, well, there you go. That could get you started. And Adventurers League, like we said with the looking for group stuff, it's very hit or miss. So if one doesn't work, try the other.
Yes.
If they both don't work, or if you meet like one good player out of all the people there, latch onto them and see if you can use them as a connection to get another group, etc. It's just like any other human activity. You got to find the right people, and
you got to find the right connections
to make it happen and all that jazz.
As annoying as it is, a lot of D&D is getting the right connections. Either on Twitter or wherever you go. It's you build up over time, and you find more people to play with, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up.
And an important thing about that is that D&D groups don't usually stay together very long. About a year is probably what you can reasonably expect from a good group.
I kind of think that's changed a bit.
It depends on your age. As you age, your group will tend to sort of solidify more. But if you're like in school, a lot of people game with the people they're in school with, and then school ends and everybody goes off and.
Yeah, but at the same time,
changed a little with the internet too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
playing online.
I don't know if that's such a thing as much anymore with the internet, because now if someone moves away, it's like, okay, we can now play off of Roll20.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what happened when COVID hit. We either could have stopped playing because you weren't able to meet with your group over there, even though we were remote. Me, Plotline, and Surfact were remote, or we just all go remote. And so being able to go remote is just like, it prevents that everyone's moving everywhere else.
Yeah. But people's lives change.
Yeah.
People change jobs. They
change interests. Maybe they're not interested in D&D.
Yeah, they've had their fun with D&D and they want to move on or whatever.
All right.
Have you ever LARPed? I have never LARPed. The
Nope.
closest we've come is fursuiting, and not done much of that. For myself, Blitzy does that, but
I mean,
it's not the same at all.
I
It's
would.
very not the same.
No, it's not. Definitely not. I have not LARPed. I would love to LARP. I would love to be a LARP monster.
A LARP monster.
I'd get up in fursuit and be a monster for a LARP. That sounds like it would be really fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've never LARPed. I had friends who were into it when I was in school, which was, just after. It wasn't quite the Stone Age. It was just after. But I had friends who were into LARP. They were into SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism, and all that stuff. And they enjoyed it, but it was never my scene. So
you would pay. Chevron says would pay money to see y'all LARP in fursuits. Oh my gosh, I would do it. I would totally do it. I mean, it'd be.
How much money are we talking? I have a PayPal account, This is exciting television, isn't it, folks?
Yeah, sorry. This is what it looks like when people are preparing for a stream. Usually I have my stream starting screen here while I'm doing all the minutia.
Okay.